Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it comes from a translation of a message that I received, and the translation of that message, it reads like this. Hello, Brother Nash, how are you? My name is Given Moyo. You can post my own story, but that is not my real name. So I came here to South Africa, and when I came here to South Africa, I started working until I became a ritualist. I was assisted by this other man that was from Malawi. He was doing the same business that I was doing. We used to find a river, and then we would go and get some reeds there by the river. We'll cut them up and make those outdoor chairs that most of the white people love. Usually you can find them in the hotels, by the guest houses, in the farms. So that is the kind of a job that I was doing. I had left my own country. It was in the year 2008. Life was really difficult. I was now staying in an area in South Africa that is called Orange Farm. That is where I was staying, working for that man. He was the one who taught me how to make those ones, you know them, sweeping brooms, rakes, doormats, tin buckets, dishes that are made out of steel. And those were the things that he taught me how to make. He had came to South Africa like a very long time ago. So currently I am still in that business. Do you know that I am earning a living here in South Africa by selling those things that I have mentioned to you? I have my workers, my dead relatives that go to the locations where they buy the reed couches, the sweeping brooms, the rakes, and things like that. And these dead relatives of mine, I have been using them since 2009 when I became a ritualist. So this Malawian guy, he said to me, I am tired of working. Ever since I came to South Africa, I have been moving around with my bicycle, selling my brooms, but I am not able to do anything with the money. I think that there is someone from my village who is bewitching me. That was when he returned back to his country. On his way back, he came with two of his brothers. Little did I know that those men that I thought were still alive, even though they were his brothers, they had died a very long time ago. He went and he performed a ritual whereby you wake up the spirit of your dead relative, and other people who are not spiritual, they will see a human being that is alive. But when you check that person, the person will not have a shadow. For a dead person cannot have a shadow when they are walking in broad daylight. So if you can check, maybe one day you will find someone that will be selling a broom or those rakes in the locations. They do not have shadows. That is what the man taught me until I also became a ritualist. He started working with his dead brothers. They would go into the locations. They would sell so much, since they are dead people. In each and every household where they would get into, the people will end up buying even things that they do not want. You can end up buying a doormat. When that person is gone, you will ask yourself, why am I even buying this doormat? I don't even need it at all. But what will be happening is that since it will be the spirit of a dead person, it can convince you to do something that you do not even want to do. Within a very short period of time, he had bought a brand new Isuzu Baki, but it was a second-hand, brand new, latest model. In those days, in 2008 to 2009, that type of Isuzu, it was being used by people that were considered to be wealthy or financially stable. I asked him how he was making so much money. That was when he said, if you want, I can assist you. So the money that was needed for this ritual to be performed, it was quite a lot. There was no way that I was ever going to be able to afford the amount that was needed. So he spoke with his traditional healer, and then the traditional healer said, we are going to meet in Zim. So I met up with the Sangoma in the village from where I come from, and I took him to my grandfather's grave, since he was like the ancestor of the entire generation. We had to start by him so that he won't refuse me to continue with the rituals. I sacrificed a black goat on top of his grave so that he can feed on the blood of that goat that I had sacrificed for the ancestors. They can be bought for a price. I placed a coin on top of the grave just before I had slaughtered the ghost. The second night, that was when I was told to take the soil from the graves of the people that I wanted to be woken up. So I took the soil from the grave of one of my cousin brother who passed away when we were still very young, but he was already married at that time. Then I took the soil of my other brother, who was the firstborn in our family, and then I gave it to the Sangoma. We went deep into the forest, and when we were in the forest, that was when he started to speak, whilst that man from Malawi was translating everything for me into Shona. He was saying, by soil, by bone, by blood and bone, I want you to rise from death so that you can work for one of your own. By soil and bone, by blood and bone, rise up from the dead so that you can work for one of your own. Whether you walk in the sun or you walk in the moon, you are not going to be afraid. We will give you a body, and you will possess that body from this day going onwards. You will work day and night just as your relative wants you to. And then the covenant was made. Right there and there, I saw the spirits of my brothers, two of them. They came and they said that they could not be brought to earth, for that is the rule in the spiritual realm. Everything is done through a covenant. And then a covenant was made on that night in the forest that if I will ever come across my dead relatives, then I will die. Yes, that was the covenant. To this very day, I can say that I started to become greedy in the year 2014 when I got married to my South African wife. As you know, most of the women here, they love money. I tried to tell her that we were supposed to live a modest life. In the area where we were staying, it was not a bad place. Most of the middle class, they were staying in that area. But as for my wife, she wanted other people that knew her when she was still struggling in life to see that God had blessed her. She said, I want to go and stay in the place where the richest people are staying. So we went and we started staying in Sandton. It was very difficult to keep up with the bills, and the only plan that I had was to raise more of my relatives that had passed away from the dead. I returned back to Malawi, and then I spoke with the traditional healer, and he said, too, it is fine. If you want more, greed has entered into your heart. Brother Nashi, to this very day, I have 8 of my dead relatives that I use here in South Africa. They do not rest day and night. During the day, they wake up at exactly 6 a.m. and they go to hustle. They walk from location to the next location. They do not go onto the taxi. They do not even use bicycle. And when they are walking, when they enter into someone's yard, that person can end up buying things that he or she does not even want. When the sun has gone down, I will direct them to the place where they can make more brooms, where they can make more reed mats throughout the night, for they are dead. The covenant is that I am not supposed to come across them. Right now, I am staying in an estate. Even my wife, she feels confused about me. I am scared to leave the walls of the estate because I feel safe when I am inside, for no one is allowed if I do not tell the security to let that person in. I am really scared that one day, if I go with my wife, back to the location where she grew up in, I'll come across one of my relative and I will die in an instant. I had kids with my South African wife, and I even have papers here in South Africa. But this is my own confession. It hurts me a lot knowing that my dead relatives, instead of letting them to rest in peace, I opted for them to suffer like forever. They work day and night. And my advice to other people is that if you want to see that the things that I am telling you, there are those that sell these brooms in the locations, they do not have a shadow. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our brother. Strange things indeed, they do happen in this world. Let us try to talk about this issue in the comment section. Do you believe that it is true or not? I once heard a story of this other woman. This woman, she had her maid killed after she had also been told by her best friend. They used to come to South Africa together. Like, this was back in those days. They used to come and then they would sell. She and her friend, they used to sell those doilies laces. Like, back in those days, those doilies laces were used a lot on top of the furniture, the sofas, the wooden tables back in those days in the 1990s. So then she was told by her friend that she had killed her maid, and that is why she always had stock. Whenever they would return back to Zim, within a very short period of time, she will say that I am returning back to South Africa. It was because her maid that they had killed, she never rested, always working day and night, making those doilies, laces. And then she also killed her own maid. It was only after one of her relatives was at her house, and then that man heard that in another room there was a lady that was crying. When he broke the door open, then he saw a woman that was without a head. She was busy with her crochet, busy making those doilies, laces. Strange things indeed, they do happen in this world. Let us talk about this issue in the comment section.